Normandy, June 7th, 1944. Private James Sullivan crouched in a foxhole outside Sainte-Mère-Église, his hand shaking as he opened a rectangular cardboard box. Inside lay 12 items that would sustain him for the next 24 hours. A can of processed meat, crackers that could survive a tank running over them, instant coffee that tasted like burnt rubber, and 4 cigarettes. This was the K-ration, the meal that would fuel the liberation of Europe. But tucked inside his jacket, wrapped in waxed paper and smuggled from England, was something far more precious. A chocolate bar his girlfriend had sent 3 months ago. He'd carried it through the Channel crossing, through the chaos of Omaha Beach, through 2 days of combat. He would eat it tonight if he survived. If he didn't, the next soldier who searched his body would find it and understand. What soldiers actually ate in World War II bore little resemblance to the home-cooked meals they dreamed about. The global conflict created the largest food logistics operation in human history. The United States alone produced 17 million tons of rations for its armed forces. Britain manufactured billions of tinned goods. Germany relied on preserved foods that grew scarcer as the war progressed. Japan struggled with supply lines that left its soldiers starving, but the official rations tell only half the story. The other half belongs to the black markets, the care packages, the creative foraging, and the elaborate smuggling networks that soldiers built to supplement the monotonous military diet. The K-ration, designed by physiologist Ancel Keys, was a marvel of nutritional engineering and culinary disappointment. Each unit contained approximately 3,000 calories, divided into breakfast, dinner, and supper meals. The contents were scientifically balanced and universally despised. Breakfast unit: canned veal loaf or ham and eggs, biscuits, compressed cereal bar, instant coffee, sugar tablets, and 4 cigarettes. Dinner unit: processed cheese, biscuits, candy bar, sugar tablets, powdered lemon drink, and cigarettes. Supper unit: canned meat product, usually pork or beef, biscuits, bouillon powder, candy bar, and cigarettes. Private Robert Leckie of the Marines wrote, "The K-ration cheese could plug a bullet hole. The biscuits could crack teeth. But we ate every molecule because hunger is the ultimate seasoning." The C-ration came in larger cans and offered marginally more variety. Units contained meat and beans, meat and vegetable hash, or meat and spaghetti in tomato sauce. Each can also included crackers, candy, gum, toilet paper, and cigarettes. The cans themselves became valuable. Soldiers heated them over small fires, used them as makeshift cups, traded them for favors, and occasionally fashioned them into crude weapons or tools. Despite the nutritional adequacy, soldiers craved what the rations couldn't provide: freshness, variety, and taste. Letters home contained desperate requests for specific foods. The most requested items were chocolate, not military issue, but real candy bars, cookies and cakes, particularly homemade, canned fruit, especially peaches, coffee, real, not instant, hot sauce to make rations edible, cheese, real cheese, not processed, salami and cured meats that actually tasted like food. The British Army ran on tea. The standard ration included tea, tinned milk, sugar, and biscuits that could survive artillery bombardment. The main meals came in tins labeled with mysterious contents that rarely matched what soldiers found inside. Compo rations, composite rations, were designed for 14 men for 1 day and included tinned meat, corned beef, stew, or mysterious substances labeled meat, tinned vegetables, tinned pudding, tea, sugar, and tinned milk, hardtack biscuits, margarine, jam, salt tablets, toilet paper. British soldiers developed elaborate rituals around brewing tea under combat conditions. Lance Corporal William Green wrote, We made tea during artillery barrages, during Stuka attacks, during tank battles. The Germans could have won the war by bombing our tea supplies. Meat and vegetable stew, universally known as M&V, became the most hated item in British rations. The tinned concoction contained unidentifiable chunks floating in thin gravy. Soldiers claimed they found everything from boot leather to engine parts in M&V cans. One popular joke: what's the difference between M&V and artillery shells? Shells are easier to swallow. German rations told the story of the war's progression. Early in the conflict, Wehrmacht soldiers received substantial portions: 750 grams of bread daily, 136 grams of meat, butter, cheese, and sugar. Real coffee, later replaced with substitutes. By 1943, as Allied bombing crippled supply lines and German agriculture failed, rations became increasingly inadequate. Soldiers on the Eastern Front subsisted on black bread filled with sawdust, watery soup made from fodder beets, occasional horse meat when available, ersatz coffee made from roasted acorns. German soldiers' letters revealed desperate hunger. Gefreiter Hans Weber wrote, "We found a Russian supply depot. Inside were potatoes. We ate them raw, fighting each other like animals. I am ashamed, but I was so hungry." As official rations disappeared, German soldiers foraged, stole, and traded for food. On the Eastern Front, they confiscated food from civilians, leading to mass starvation. In France and other occupied territories, they operated black markets, exchanging looted goods for extra rations. The desperation created brutal hierarchies. Officers ate, while enlisted men starved. Combat troops received better rations than support units. The hungry majority watched the privileged few consume food that should have been shared. Japanese soldiers faced the worst food situation of any major combatant. The Japanese military philosophy emphasized spirit over sustenance. Soldiers were expected to survive on minimal rations through willpower and dedication. Standard Japanese ration: rice, 600 to 800 grams daily when available. Miso soup, pickled vegetables, occasionally dried fish. Tea. In practice, supply failures meant soldiers rarely received even these meager portions. On isolated Pacific islands, Japanese troops faced starvation that turned desperate. They ate grass, leaves, and tree bark, insects and worms, leather boots and belts, their own dead in extreme cases. American soldiers who captured Japanese positions found emaciated men weighing less than 90 pounds, too weak to resist. Medical examinations revealed soldiers who hadn't eaten in weeks. Sergeant Yukio Tanaka, who survived New Guinea, wrote, "We were ordered to fight to the death, but hunger killed us first. I watched men die not from bullets, but from eating poisonous plants because they couldn't bear the emptiness." Every military created elaborate, unofficial food networks. The black market wasn't criminal, it was survival. Soldiers traded, bartered, stole, and improvised to supplement terrible rations. In American units, cigarettes became universal currency. A pack of cigarettes could buy fresh eggs from French farmers, wine from Italian civilians, information from locals, favors from supply sergeants. Chocolate bars ran a close second. Hershey's Tropical Bar, designed not to melt, became negotiating gold in Pacific and Mediterranean theaters. Packages from home created wealth inequality among soldiers. Those with families who could afford to send food became centers of elaborate trading networks. Private Michael Donovan described the ritual. When mail call brought a package, word spread instantly. Men would gather, offering trades. I once exchanged 3 D-ration chocolate bars for a single homemade cookie. Worth it. The most valuable care package items, salami and cured meats, lasted months. Hard cheeses survived shipping. Cookies and candy, morale boosters. Hot sauce and spices made rations edible. Coffee, more valuable than ammunition. Combat soldiers developed sophisticated foraging techniques. They knew which French farms had chickens, which Italian villages had wine cellars, which German bunkers might contain abandoned food. The unwritten rules: take from the enemy, trade with civilians, share with your unit. Breaking these rules meant social death. No one helped soldiers who didn't contribute to the group's food supply. Soldiers smuggled food with creativity that would impress modern smugglers. The goal? Supplement rations with real food that reminded them of home. Every army banned or restricted alcohol. Every soldier smuggled it anyway. American soldiers hid bourbon in canteens, tucked flasks in gas mask bags, and disguised bottles as medical supplies. British soldiers concealed whiskey in water bottles and received rum rations that officers tried to limit. German soldiers distorted schnapps in fuel containers until someone died from poisoning. Soviet soldiers drank anything fermented, including antifreeze, also fatal. Soldiers near agricultural areas smuggled fresh produce that made rations bearable. Eggs, carefully wrapped and carried in helmets. Butter and cheese, hidden in uniform pockets. Fresh bread, stuffed inside jackets. Fruits, eaten immediately or traded. Private James Crawford wrote, "I carried a dozen eggs through 3 days of combat. Not one broke. I protected those eggs better than my rifle. We made omelets in a German helmet. Best meal of the war." Wealthier soldiers, or those with connections, smuggled genuine luxuries. Cigars and pipe tobacco, status symbols. Real coffee beans, worth their weight in ammunition. Spices, paprika, pepper, anything with flavor. Honey and jam made hardtack bearable. Chocolate, real chocolate, not military issue. Soldiers transformed terrible rations into marginally less terrible meals through desperate creativity. Steel helmets became universal cookware. Soldiers fried eggs in them, boiled water for coffee, made stew, and baked bread. The helmets developed seasoning layers like cast-iron pans. Sergeant Paul Adams, "My helmet cooked 1,000 meals." It smelled like bacon grease, coffee, and C-ration beef stew. I never washed it. That smell was flavor. Soldiers built improvised stoves from empty ration cans filled with sand and gasoline, ammunition boxes converted to fire pits, captured German equipment repurposed. These stoves violated regulations but were universally used. Officers pretended not to notice. Soldiers invented dishes from limited ingredients. Ration hash, crumble crackers, add canned meat, mix with anything available. Heat, if possible. Mulligan stew. Combine everything edible into one pot. Season with hope. Spam and whatever. Slice spam. Fry in helmet. Serve with anything that won't kill you. Certain days transformed food from fuel into ceremony. Thanksgiving and Christmas saw military kitchens perform miracles. Despite the Battle of the Bulge beginning days later, American quartermasters delivered turkey dinners to frontline units in Belgium, Thanksgiving 1944. Soldiers ate in foxholes while German artillery fell nearby. The meal included roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, cranberry sauce, bread, butter, pumpkin pie. Private Donald Russell wrote, "We ate Thanksgiving dinner 200 yards from German positions. The smell of turkey mixed with gunpowder. Men cried, not from fear, but from the memory of home. Food created brief peace. In several locations, soldiers from opposing sides shared rations during informal Christmas truces. British and German troops exchanged chocolate for schnapps. American and Italian soldiers traded cigarettes for wine. These moments violated military law, but honored deeper human needs. Food reminded enemies they were men first, soldiers second. Soldiers returned home with strange relationships to food. Many couldn't eat certain items without triggering memories. Combat veterans developed rituals, never wasting food, hoarding canned goods, eating quickly, standing up, hiding candy in pockets. They taught children to appreciate abundance. They never complained about restaurant food. They knew what real hunger felt like. Bernard Hoffman, who survived the Pacific Theater. I can't throw away food. I see my starving buddies in every scrap. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I remember when men killed for a can of peaches. Food in World War II was more than sustenance. It was memory, connection, and hope. The terrible rations, the smuggled luxuries, the improvised meals, all represented soldiers' determination to remain human amid industrialized death. They transformed cardboard crackers into communion, shared chocolate bars as acts of friendship, and smuggled salami as declarations of defiance against military monotony. They cooked in helmets, traded cigarettes for eggs, and hoarded care packages like treasure. The men who survived carried food memories forever. The taste of K-rations triggered combat flashbacks. The smell of certain canned goods brought back dead friends. But homemade cookies always meant love. Chocolate always meant home. And sharing food always meant brotherhood. Private Robert Chen, summarizing his war in a 1985 interview, said, "We fought for freedom and democracy and all that. But day to day, we fought for the next meal, the next care package, the next taste of home. Food kept us human when war tried to make us animals." The soldiers who smuggled chocolate bars through combat zones, who traded cigarettes for fresh eggs, who cooked elaborate meals in artillery-damaged helmets, these men understood that survival meant more than staying alive. It meant staying human. And nothing kept them human like food. The terrible rations they choked down, the contraband they risked punishment to obtain, and the rare feast days when abundance reminded them what they were fighting to preserve. They ate to survive. They smuggled to remember. They shared to remain brothers. And the food they consumed, hoarded, and traded became the taste of a war that transformed a generation.